Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here, welcome back to another video for Deathloop. And in this one, I just want to put together a quick one going over all of Colt's abilities and his upgrades. In the game, you have a selection of different abilities that you can use. You can of course choose them based on your personal playstyle or what you feel will be most useful. And then within those abilities, there are also some upgrades. So having unlocked all of those, I thought we'd go through them and just give you guys a chance to take a look at all of them. If you did enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. And let me know in the comments down below, which abilities have you been using the most playing throughout the game. Now to begin with, we have Havoc. This one makes you tougher and makes you hit and kick harder. This one transforms you into a paragon of physical violence, increasing the damage your attacks deal while simultaneously protecting you from harm. You can press L1 to activate it and deactivate it. It's worth noting, while Havoc is active, all of your attacks inflict additional damage. It also acts as a layer of armor, blocking incoming harm while the SLAB is active, so basically a nice little tank setup. Now within your available upgrades, you have Withdrawal, which will allow you to regain power by damaging your foes whilst using Havoc. You then have Backlash, where when Havoc ends, you release a powerful damaging blast. You have Bulwark, where hits don't drain power, but Havoc drains power faster, and you also move slower. And then finally, you have Euphoria, where the more damage you take whilst using Havoc, the more damage you dish out. Next up on the list, we have Nexus, the ability to link enemies and hurt multiple enemies at once. The Nexus SLAB links people's body and mind. Anything that happens to one member of the network is experienced by all, from assassinations and shotgun blasts all the way up to the more esoteric effects of other SLABs. If you press L1, you can hurl an imperceptible energy projectile at a group of enemies and it will then burst on impact, linking anyone it comes in contact with. But using the Nexus does deplete your power by a segment, and links slowly continue to consume your power whilst the ability remains active. Now on your upgrade front, you have Protraction, where Nexus drains your power at a slower rate. You then have Attraction, where Nexus projectiles home in on enemies until they become unstable. You have Parasite, where when somebody affected by the Nexus takes damage, you regain health. And then finally you have Influence, where enemies affected by Nexus spontaneously create connections to other nearby enemies. Moving on from there, we then have Carnesis. This one is the SLAB that allows you to hurl people through the air. You press L1 to send enemies flying, and you can use the right stick when activating the ability to throw your victim in a specific direction. This ability only affects living humans, not objects, and using Carnesis depletes your power by a fixed amount, but it is worth noting this does not directly damage enemies, but the impact of landing definitely can. For the upgrades, you have Suspension, where enemies thrown by Carnesis hover helplessly in the air. Easy pickings, you can of course then go and shoot them. You have Slam, where using Carnesis again on affected enemies violently holds them down. You have Zone, which allows you to push away multiple enemies for some much needed breathing room. And finally, you have Flesh Bomb, where enemies affected by Carnesis land with a damaging blast. Following on from there, we then have Ether, your invisibility skill. This SLAB provides you near invisibility. Again, pressing L1 to activate it, and you press L1 to cancel it. The SLAB again will drain power over time whilst active. Ether's camouflage is most effective when you're stationary. The faster you move, the more visible you become, and the faster your power drains. Sensors, trip mines, and turrets can't see you while Ether is active, though you can still trigger proximity mines. And also be careful, you do still make a sound while moving. Attacks or other aggressive behaviours will also end the effect. As for your upgrades, you have Flicker, where attacking whilst using Ether makes you appear briefly, but doesn't halt the effect. You then have Erase, where while Ether is active, killing an enemy does not leave a trace. You have Phase, where damage doesn't deactivate Ether, and you suffer less damage while it's active. And then finally you have Ghost, where Ether doesn't consume power whilst you're standing still. And then finally, for the last ability, we have Shift. The Shift SLAB allows you to cross short distances in ticks between seconds. You press L1 to immediately teleport in the direction that you're facing. If you hold down L1, you can pinpoint the location more precisely, and then you can release it to teleport. This can cover quick distances, but it can also grant easy access to ledges and rooftops above you. But it is worth noting, teleporting with Shift will deplete one segment of power. Now for your upgrades, you firstly have Reach, where you can travel further and higher whilst using Shift. You then have Airborne, where using Shift in midair briefly halts your fall. You have Swapper, where Shift can be used to swap your positions with an enemy. And then finally, you have dropkick, where kicking during a use of shift produces a powerful and dangerous sonic boom. So there you have it, that's a little rundown on Colt's abilities. Obviously outside of that you have reprise as a means to basically give you another life in your runs, but that doesn't need mentioning. Those are your abilities, those are things you'll be choosing throughout the game. Again, let me know which ones are your favourites and keep it locked for plenty more. If you want to catch more from us at HyperX Gaming, don't forget you can catch the guys TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch weekdays, playing a variety of games. If you guys want to jump in, tune in, watch, and even join in, then make sure you check them out. The links to those are in the description box down below, and of course you can join the Discord to get involved in all of the discussions.